To recap, we made the analogy between making your intention, your niyyah, to fast, as about the same as making the intention to go to the supermarket. You make the niyyah to go to the supermarket. It's not enough to just say, I want to go to the supermarket. Your objective is not just to go to the supermarket. Your objective is to buy groceries that you need or you want, such as milk, eggs, vegetables, fruit, cooking oil, rice, etc. But just as intending to go to the supermarket is insufficient, and you have to know your objectives in why you want to go to the supermarket, otherwise your visit will not be productive. Similarly, intending or making the niyyah to fast the month of Ramadan is insufficient. You should also know their objectives in why you are fasting. Otherwise, the Prophet's hadith, in which he said, many a fasting person gains nothing from his fast but hunger and thirst, and many a person prays the qiyam or the tarawih prayer and gains nothing from his prayer but fatigue. You don't want this hadith to apply to you, brothers and sisters. This hadith warns us that we should not just rely on the physical aspect of fasting without focusing on the spiritual dimension of fasting. If we fast, but we speak ill of people, commit fraud, or any of the other sins that Allah has commanded us to avoid, then we have gained nothing from our physical fast but hunger and thirst. There's another hadith of the Prophet where he makes the same point, which he said, whoever does not leave evil words and deeds while fasting, Allah does not need him to leave food and drink. So this also guides us into making the fast not only a physical thing, but we have to participate and engage with the fast with our hearts, our minds, and our souls. Essentially, what this hadith proves, brothers and sisters, that what you get out of something is a function of what you put into it. And primary to this is your intention and the purpose or objectives of your intentions. So Ramadan is not only about your physical fasting or just about it. You need to know the purpose, the objective behind your fasting. So making the intention to fast Ramadan, saying, I want to intend to fast tomorrow, is important, but it's not enough. It's about the purpose behind your fasting the month of Ramadan. We made the point that not everyone who goes into the supermarket with an empty cart comes out of the supermarket with the same items. Why? Because their intentions, their purposes in coming were different. So similarly, all of us enter the month of Ramadan with our shopping carts empty, but what we come out of the month of Ramadan with Allah's rewards varies. We come out with different things. Why? Because your intentions, your objectives were different. And we said, just as a supermarket has special sales and special promotions, or especially, seasonal stuff, Ramadan also has its special sales, its special promotions, and its seasonal items. The Quran begins by telling us what the primary objective that we should gain out of fasting is. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. This is Surah Al-Baqarah, the second surah, verse 182. O you who have believed, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed to those who came before you, so that you would be pious. لعلكم تتقون. This phrase, لعلكم تتقون, is the operative cause of this divine commandment. So, If you fast and you do not gain any taqwa, your fast has not been valid, brothers and sisters. So, number one item on your shopping list for Ramadan, focus on gaining taqwa. Taqwa is number one on your shopping list. It is a Ramadan special because fasting makes it easy to gain taqwa, because the physical energy it takes to get angry and to express negative feelings is reduced. It is easier to just be quiet. So taqwa is easier to gain in Ramadan. Another special is given in the hadith of the Prophet where he said, "Namu as-sa'im ibadah wa samtuhu tasbih." The sleep of a fasting person is worship, and his silence is meditation or praising Allah or hymning Allah's praises. I will say, La ilaha illallah Allah. Just your silence is like tasbih. And your sleeping in Ramadan is ibadah, is worship. And I pointed out that the most delicious sleep you can enjoy ever is sleeping while fasting, especially in the time window between Asr and Maghrib. And I encourage those of you who can do so, who have the ability and time to do so, is to try it. Try sleeping between Asr and Maghrib for a while and experience what it tastes like. Clearly, this is another Ramadan special where worship and tasbih is sold for the bargain price of sleeping and not talking. When else in the year can you get such a bargain, brothers and sisters? And a third objective of fasting is self-knowledge, knowing yourself better. Fasting stills us, stills our emotions. We are quiet. We don't feel like being very active. But this stilling or this quietening enables us to recognize and to differentiate our souls from our minds, from our emotions. And you will sense that your soul is the locus of your eternal self, of your timeless self, of your I, of your self, of your ego, and of your will, and of your awareness. So fasting results in the strengthening of your will, the strengthening of your awareness, and of yourself, knowledge of the self. It enables us to see more clearly with our souls, which is an essential part of our spiritual education and growth and evolution, which in turn enables and helps the soul to recognize what is best for it in Judgment Day, and for the will to exercise itself in accordance with that understanding. This, brothers and sisters, is a huge plus. Now, a fourth objective is to read the Quran, since Ramadan was when the Quran was sent down. So Allah says in verse 185 of Al-Baqarah, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان, which means the month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran came down as a guidance for people and as a means for distinguishing or differentiating or clarifying or separating right from wrong, etc. So, because of this, we are to recite the Quran. Because by reciting the Quran, by understanding it, by reading it, we gain the means of distinguishing guidance and differentiating right from wrong. And we learn how to be guided better. Allah commands us to recite the Quran in Surah Al-Muzammil, which was one of the very first surahs to be revealed. And again in the last verse where Allah commands to recite what you can comfortably recite. فَقْرَؤُوا مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ. Recite what is easy for you to recite of the Quran. And because Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was first revealed, many Muslims, millions of Muslims around the world, make it a point of reading the whole Quran from beginning to end, because this also aids in your gaining taqwa, the involvement of your mind in understanding the meanings of the Quranic verses, Allah's directives, His commandments, His caution, and in assimilating and appreciating these meanings and absorbing them into our hearts and minds and following them. This is another dimension of gaining taqwa. And because the beginning of the Quran and the revelation happened in Ramadan, this event was called Laylatul Qadr. So a fifth objective in your shopping list for Ramadan is to look for your individual experience of Laylatul Qadr. Why? Because the Prophet urged us to do that. He urged his companions to look for their own experience of Laylatul Qadr. Now, your experience of Laylatul Qadr is unique to you, brothers and sisters. It can happen to you in any number of ways, but essentially, it is a spiritual experience marked by a heightened experience of Allah and His reality. And even if you do not experience it powerfully on any given day or night, or whether you experience it in a vision or in a dream while asleep, the flavor of Laylatul Qadr, the taste of Laylatul Qadr permeates the whole of the month of Ramadan. In other words, the heightened spirituality that we experience daily during Ramadan is itself one manifestation of Laylatul Qadr. So you can smell the smell of Laylatul Qadr or taste it in the way we fast every day of the month. Next week, inshallah, I will devote my khutbah to Laylatul Qadr and talk about it more, because it is a subject which is not easy, really, to grasp. A sixth objective of Ramadan is to win Allah's pardon. The Prophet said that Ramadan is a month in which the Satans are chained and the doors of hell are locked. This hadith is explained further by another hadith in which the Prophet said that every night of Ramadan, Allah pardons. He declares an amnesty to 600,000 souls who are destined to hell. And on the last night of Ramadan, He pardons as many as He did for the previous 29 nights of Ramadan. So if you do the math, it computes to somewhere around 34, 35 million souls released from hell during that 1 month of Ramadan. Now, during the Prophet's time, in the mid-600s, 1400 years ago, the global population, the whole population of the world, is estimated to have been around 200 to 210 million. And the whole population of the Arabian Peninsula was much less than 35 million. So if this hadith is true, this would mean that Allah would have given His amnesty to around 17% of the human population of that time, of the year 630, in just 1 year. And in 6 years, He would have forgiven the whole human population alive at that time. Now, what we do not know is if Allah will forgive today the same number, 600,000 souls every night, for about 35 million for the month, or whether He will increase His amnesty to the same percentage of the human population as to what that meant at that time, meaning 17% of the world population, which would mean forgiving 1.4 billion souls for the whole month. But the math aside, the math tends to make us think perhaps that this hadith may not be a very strong hadith. But the essential point of this hadith is on Allah's mercy, that Allah really looks for any excuse to forgive a human soul and really does not want to send human souls to hell. So Take advantage, brothers and sisters, of Allah's merciful kindness and forgiveness that He showers upon us in this month. Ramadan is such a month where Allah abundantly showers His mercy upon us, human sinners. And just like the prophetic hadith, in which He said that if a person bathes 5 times a daily in a clear stream next to his home, no dirt, no bad smell would be on him. He used this hadith to describe the effects of the 5-time daily prayers on the Muslim. So look at that. So we have that in addition to the month of Ramadan. We have all these opportunities, brothers and sisters, to purify ourselves, get rid of our sins by having Allah forgive us for them. The bottom line, brothers and sisters, that whoever wins Allah's mercy and forgiveness in Ramadan is a clear winner. And whoever does not gain Allah's mercy and forgiveness in Ramadan is indeed a great loser. So, brothers and sisters, we have identified 6 important objectives on your shopping list of Ramadan to focus your fasting on. May Allah help us all to succeed in gaining these wonderful objectives. I also remind you that Allah has said in the Hadith Qudsi, or the Prophet said in the Hadith Qudsi, that Allah says, my fasting servant experiences 2 moments of joy. One when he breaks his fast, and the other when he shall meet me. And in another Hadith, He said, whoever of my servant looks forward to meeting me, I'm even more desirous to meeting him. So let these also be not so much additional objectives, you might say, in fasting Ramadan, that it makes you more desirous of meeting Allah and eliciting Allah's desire to meet you. May it increase your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His love for you. I pray to Allah, brothers and sisters, that He may answer our prayers, and may you have a blessed month of that month of Ramadan. Wad'u Allah ta'ala an yastajib li wa lakum.